They write that a, quote, highly credible whistleblower says the Justice Department and FBI have a form that, quote, describes an alleged criminal scheme involving then-President Biden and a former national relating to the exchange of money for policy decisions. It's been alleged that the document includes a precise description of how the alleged criminal scheme was employed, as well as its purpose.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about some FBI documents that allege that then Vice President Joe Biden was engaging in some quid pro quo, 10 for the big guy, some money, some cash, gifts, or whatever in exchange for policy decisions. Now, are you surprised at all? I am not surprised in the least bit. Not at all. Didn't we already see it in the Hunter Biden laptop information? 10 for the big guy. Didn't we already see that? Now we have a credible whistleblower coming forward and saying, hey, there's documents that have everything laid out for you. And before I go any further into it, let's get into a little bit more detail through this video. If you want to see it in full, link will always be in the description. If you're on IG, link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Let us bring in strategic military intel analyst and former U.S. Defense Intel Officer, Rebecca Koffler. Rebecca, are the walls closing in on President Biden?
I believe they are, and these revelations are exactly potentially going to present the evidence that President Biden is compromised. I mean, the whistleblowers' allegations are very consistent with the behavior of President Biden and his family, specifically Hunter Biden, described in Miranda Devine's book. It's very, very clear what was going on. It's peddling influence to foreign governments. Remember, 10% for the big guys. And so the only way the Democrats are saying, well, there's no evidence, but the only way to actually uncover specific evidence is to investigate. And the DOJ and the FBI are not investigating the matter. If that were the other side, you know, the Republicans who were implicated in such things, the investigation would just immediately happen.
Yeah, let's talk about these federal agencies for a second, because, you know, there is a lot that we still don't know, but the Republicans want to know what the DOJ has done with this information, if they've acted on it, if they've not, if they've even looked into it, really. So
they're all in cahoots with each other. They don't really want to investigate the situation. And if they really wanted to, they would have already done it. And then you would have Joe Biden impeached, at least impeached, if not carried away in handcuffs. But, you know, they're all on the same team. They don't want to do anything. But I'm glad Republicans are trying to force the act. We're trying to force the action through Republicans investigating and through insiders whistleblowing. This is the second person coming forward to say what's happening inside the feds. Okay, the first person came out and was talking about how it's not being investigated properly. This person is saying that there's evidence, there are documents that clearly show that Joe Biden was engaging in quid pro quo with foreign nationals for policy decisions. Very simple. 10 for the big guy is allegedly proven in this document.
You served on U.S. intelligence for a long time, and you said the government agencies have really changed over the course of time. Elaborate on that.
Yes, I spent my intelligence career on the Russia and Putin target, right? And what I saw is extreme politicization of intelligence. What do I mean by that? You know, the intelligence community and the law enforcement community, such as the FBI and the DOJ, they're supposed to serve the American people. They're supposed to uphold justice and investigate. Well, what I've seen is that what happens is the threats are politicized, right? I warned for years the intelligence community about Putin's plans. And I even wrote a book about it, Putin's playbook, Russia's secret plan to defeat America. Obama wanted to do a reset with Putin, right? He wanted to be friends with him. And therefore, all the warnings were ignored. And now we are caught blindsided and unprepared for this war. And we're wasting billions and billions of dollars. So another thing that happens is, remember the 51 senior intelligence officials who said lying knowingly to the American people that the Hunter Biden story was Russian disinformation. It wasn't, and they knew that. And that's what I saw. The terrible, malignant, it's almost like cancer. There are a lot of good people in the FBI, obviously, the lower levels, the worker bees, but then the management, the higher-ups are totally compromised.
Yes. Brett Tolman, former U.S. attorney, said on our air that a decision to bury an indictment, or bury a document like this, I should say, from the world had to come from one of two people, Christopher Wray or Merrick Garland, once Joe Biden took office. So when you...
Probably both. It probably was a whole all hands on deck. Let's bury this. Don't let it get out, because this is our guy. And when I say our guy, I mean the government, the federal government, permanent employees, all these people. The Democratic Party, that's just one piece of it, the elected officials, but you also got to think about the permanent government employees that are going to be in Washington forever, like cockroaches. They did not want this to get out. It's very simple, because they want to hold on to power. Joe Biden is pretty much just a guy in a suit, an empty suit that is controlled by the outside. He's given all the information he needs to have. He is given questions and answers that he will receive from reporters. He is a puppet controlled by the outside. The outside forces that are inside the government do not want this to get out there. Very simple.
You hear things like that. As you've studied Putin and the KGB and the Soviet-style use of the intel apparatus to benefit the elite, is that what is happening in our intel world right now? CIA, FBI, to benefit the ruling class?
100%. They have become the American version of the KGB. Just like the KGB serves the interest of Putin and the Putin regime, and back in the Soviet Union, they served the interest of CPSU, the Communist Party, and not the Russian people. That's what we see today. They are stifling the voices, the whistleblower who disclosed these kinds of potential schemes, but when it comes to, remember, the whistleblower who alleged that President Trump had some sort of improper dealings or put pressure on Zelensky, he was celebrated. They jumped on that. But in this case, they are trying to bury the story. Yes, they have become a U.S. version of the KGB, our intelligence agencies, and our law enforcement. The upper echelons, I want to be clear, they're honorable people, intelligence officers, law enforcement officers, but they're mismanaged by corrupt officials, particularly in the Biden administration.
I think it's...
That was very well said. And I'll leave the rest of this clip in the description. But that was very well said. Somebody said this before. Somebody was saying that the U.S. spent years and years and years fighting the KGB, only to become a worse version of it. Or, pardon, not the KGB. We were fighting the Soviet Union. We were fighting them for years and years and years, only to become a worse version of it. Only to become a Walmart Great Value version of that. Yeah, so that's exactly what's going on. Our intelligence, we've become the KGB. We're talking about how bad Russia is, but is that envy? Is that projection? If it's not, I can't tell, because we want to be just like them. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to the brave whistleblowers out there, really risking your life. Risking your job is one thing, but these guys are getting into some heavy stuff. You're talking about dealing with the president and vice president and quid pro quo and foreign actors. You're talking about some really, really, really sensitive stuff. Okay, that's enough to get sent up under the penitentiary, big rocks, little rocks for no reason, to get vanished, disappeared. So these are some very brave souls to come out and say these things about what's happening in our U.S. federal government. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Are you surprised at what's going on here with our government and them not really trying to talk about the Biden situation, the quid pro quo, pay for play, 10 for the big guy? Are you surprised at the concealment of this information, allegedly, quote unquote? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I'm not surprised in the least bit. I expected this information to come out because we already knew about it. We saw the laptop, the so-called intelligence official, 51 of them that says, okay, let's sign this letter off and say that the thing was disinformation. It was not real. I knew at that point that they were trying to hide stuff. And they went through those lengths to just say that the laptop, which was obviously real, we saw Hunter Biden on the laptop smoking crack, doing all kind of inappropriate things, if they went through those lenses to try and conceal that, then they're going to conceal other things that are more important. Like, I don't know, maybe the vice president of the US of A going to different countries and shaking them down, extorting them for money. Maybe that's a more important thing to cover up than a guy who's not in the government smoking crack and just getting money just because he's the president's or the vice president's son. Not surprising the least bit, but what I want is for these things to result in some action. Impeachment, at least. At least impeachment. At best, total removal from the White House. That's what I would want to see. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.